Hello, and thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel. My name is Wendy, and I'm going to read a small book to you. And I had written it many years ago, and it was inspired by my niece Elizabeth, so I named it Elizabeth's Books, and she loves books. So I illustrated it too. I did it in a hurry, so and she signed this one for me, even though I wrote it. And she is 11 years old now. So we'll begin. There once was a little girl named Elizabeth. She loved books. Every time her mom and dad took her to the store, she would seek out where to find the books. Once she found them, she would run to them with a big smile and try to pick the one she liked the most before asking her parents very nicely if they could get one for her. She loved books. Elizabeth liked the way the books looked. They were small, tall, short, heavy, and most of all, pretty. She turned every page and gently touched the paper, and her eyes would focus on every word. She pointed at the pictures in each book that made her smile and gave her so much joy. Elizabeth liked the stories inside the books, like the big green dragon breathing fire as it burned up bushes and small trees, and a handsome knight who had a pail of water to put out the fire. She saw a knight that had saved a pretty young lady from the tower. The lady was frightened that the giant green grasshopper was climbing up to get her. And this book right here she's reading has the grasshopper in the castle. Try to incorporate that in. Elizabeth's dinosaur book had many large green dinosaurs that stomped around the small trees and would eat the leaves right off of them. She wondered, why can't the dinosaur eat the giant grasshopper that was climbing up to get the pretty young lady? She giggled, I guess that would be 2 books instead of 1. Elizabeth smiled every time she saw a new book, one she had not seen yet. She would pick it up and hug it, and then look at the front of the book and then the back. Elizabeth opened the book and examined every page. It felt like they had made the book just for her. Each page was important to her. She turned those pages time after time. She knew what the story was about. She loved to learn new things about the story each time she opened the book to see the pages again. She remembered the stories very well. When Elizabeth's mom sat down to read to her, Elizabeth knew if her mom was skipping or adding to the story. Elizabeth spent a great deal of time just looking at her books. She kept them nicely stacked on the floor in a corner. See that? That's done by crayon. Elizabeth made sure that her books were stacked with the larger ones on the bottom and the smaller ones neatly on the top. Elizabeth guarded her books. If anyone came into her room, she would let you read them, but she had to be with you as you opened the books to see what they were all about. That day, Elizabeth's Nana came over for a visit. Elizabeth greeted her with a big smile and hug. Then, like she always did, Elizabeth grabbed her Nana's hand and led her to the nice big stack of books that only Nana could choose to read to Elizabeth. Nana looked at my book, and I got today, Elizabeth said. What excitement. Nana smiled, and what is it about? Elizabeth smiled back. You read it, and I'll listen to the story. Elizabeth was a very young 5-year-old. She hasn't learned to read as well as her Nana yet. but she knew the stories. Of course, you see Nana is reading the book to her. This one has flowers on it. Nana sat down and put Elizabeth on her lap, and then Elizabeth opened the book very gently to the first page. Then she looked up at Nana and with her bright, sparkly brown eyes and said, "Now, Nana, please read this story." Elizabeth was giddy with excitement to learn what would happen in this book. As Nana read the story to her granddaughter, Elizabeth was very much into what was happening. Nana read about a young boy who was sitting on a fishing pier and got his hook caught into something very big. It was too big for a small boy to reel in. Nana read, "Excuse me, but your hook got caught in my hair." Elizabeth looked at her Nana and smiled. "It was a mermaid, Nana. He caught a mermaid." She giggled. Nana smiled and replied, "I see, and she is very pretty." Elizabeth had her Nana read the entire book. When Nana finished, Elizabeth ran into her room and brought out 4 more mermaid books. She also brought out 4 mermaid dolls. She said, "Mermaids are my favorite." Elizabeth said, "I like princesses, queens, and fairies too, but I really love mermaids." Mermaids is Elizabeth's favorite. Elizabeth's little world revolved around mermaids. She had stickers on her bedroom walls and lights that would shine swimming mermaids on the ceiling and for her to look at and as she fell asleep. She loved to play with her big brother Gabriel, who was 7 years old. He had many toy dinosaurs and he loved to play with them and let Elizabeth play with them too. Gabriel made the dinosaurs growl at Elizabeth's mermaid dolls. It made Elizabeth giggle at him. They had a lot of fun. They also liked to play hide and seek. This was their favorite game. One day, Gabriel was playing with a dinosaur and he was very near Elizabeth's mermaid books. He put them together and did not think about it much. He and Elizabeth started to play hide and seek. It was almost time for bed, and Gabriel had school early the next morning. When Elizabeth was ready for bed, she called for her mom. "Mommy, I can't find 3 of my books. They're gone." Elizabeth was frantic with worry. How could she lose her books? Elizabeth's mom was very tired. She told Elizabeth to go to sleep and said that she would find the books first thing in the morning after breakfast. Elizabeth was thinking about those books. She wasn't thinking of sleeping at all. She was very tired and began to cry. She cried herself to sleep. Elizabeth dreamed a lot that night. She was trying to solve that mystery of where her mermaid books were. Then she heard a crash. The sound came from under the table near her bed. The mermaids came out of her book and started to dance above Elizabeth's bed. Elizabeth sat up and said, "Can I dance too?" A beautiful black-haired mermaid with pretty purple eyes smiled at Elizabeth. She sang with a whisper, "You are dreaming, Elizabeth. You are dreaming. Come with us under the sea." That's not a song, but anyway. Elizabeth was excited that she jumped up and started to float in the air, and she felt like she was swimming and floating. Elizabeth was swimming with 3 mermaids. There was laughter, and she was having a great time swimming with them. That's it. Elizabeth saw her reflection in the mirror and she was very excited that she had mermaid fins. Elizabeth felt like she was one of them, a real mermaid. The mermaid swam into an undersea cave. As Elizabeth followed, she saw a little blue fish and a giant silver clam. She saw a shark, but wasn't scared of it. She swam near the top of the beach, but she didn't see it. The deeper she swam into the sea, the bluer the water got. There was green plants and playful eel that swam around her a few times. There were many mermaids that she couldn't even count that high. The mermaids took her to their homes where their families lived. Elizabeth saw baby mermaids and grandparents' mermaids. Some of the mermaids were men. As she got closer to them, she said, "You're in my books. I love your stories and where you live." She was very calm and happy and full of excitement. Then she heard a voice, the voice of her dad. He said, Gabriel, it's time for you to go to school." It woke Elizabeth up out of the dream of her mermaids. Elizabeth peeked one eye open and saw her brother Gabriel getting ready for school. When Elizabeth sat up, she saw her mermaid books that were lost. They were under the table near her bed. Elizabeth jumped up and ran to the table and crawled underneath it and grabbed her missing books. She hugged them and kissed them. "I found my books, I found my books." Her dad turned and said, "I'm so glad that you have found them, Elizabeth." Gabriel had his school books together, and he turned to his little sister and said, "I forgot to tell you that I put them there. We were playing hide and seek. I'm sorry, Elizabeth." Elizabeth was so happy that she got her books back. She put them down and ran to Gabriel and hugged him. She went back to bed with her books and fell fast asleep. She wanted to go back to that lovely dream again. When she later got up that day, her mom made her the best breakfast she ever had. She told her mom about her dream, but Elizabeth's mind, her dream felt too real. She kept her mermaid books and dolls with her all day. Elizabeth's Nana came for a visit that day. Elizabeth told her the story of swimming under the sea with mermaids. Nana smiled at Elizabeth and thanked her for sharing her nice dream. It was a dream that happened because Elizabeth thought that she'd lost her most precious gift, her mermaid books. Elizabeth loved her books. And thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you enjoyed Elizabeth's books. I've got other children's books I have not published yet because I don't plan to do self-publishing soon. So I am looking for a publisher. And I have got a novel. It's called Eyes on the Horizon, which continuously gets turned down by agents, but I'm still hoping. So thank you so much for joining me, and y'all have a good day. And I hope you enjoyed Elizabeth's books.